Not all superheroes wear capes. Some wear wellies. Wellies.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. And we're going to be meeting a gentleman this evening that I've observed over the last couple of years that I truly believe will go down as one of the historical figures in Ireland that stood up when an awful lot of people were not willing to stand up and began to speak about things that were going on in Ireland that everyone was very, very happy to look down at their feet and pretend wasn't going on. Also, you've probably heard of the sovereign individual, the straw man, the free man, etc. But we will be touching on the subject this evening and in a couple of weeks' time of the sovereign individual, something that you really, really need to look into. It's a pleasure to have him with us tonight. Joe Doocey from Ballina. Joe, you're very welcome.
Thank you, James. How are you?
Would you please, I'm familiar with the story a little bit, but would you please, you are a world of intellect when it comes to law matters now. But as my grandfather said, you didn't go out and lick it off a stone one day. It's through years and years of trials and tribulations.
It's hard learned.
It is, yeah. It's a hard master, I'm sure. So if you can start off just initially what happened, the consequences of that, and I am led to believe you're after having 12 cases on the trot.
Yeah, we've had a bit of success, but I go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
My story, a lot of people are familiar with it. It started around the year 2000. I'm not going to go into all the details. Most people know them anyway, but let's say I didn't get on too well with the gardaí, or more so they didn't get on too well with me. So it just, it started off with one detective and it spiraled then. He had all these mates and the next thing, the whole Garda force was after me. So it culminated into many arrests, probably over 200 arrests over the last 25 years. And I think I'm collecting stamps now on vouchers. I have 87 convictions and I've done 3.5 years in jail. Always convicted with no evidence and totally innocent of everything they came after me for. So that kind of inspired me to keep fighting, and to this present day, I'm not letting them away with it, you know. So, it led to a lot of studying, and in what I noticed over the years was in every court case they brought against me was no matter what evidence I had, whether I could prove they were lying, whether I had witnesses to say they were lying, I was still convicted. The worst one being when two guards in Ballina, Declan Casey from Charlestown and Peter Kearns, I think he's living in Sligo at the minute. Two guards claimed I knocked them down at a checkpoint, which didn't happen. Peter Kearns' charges were thrown out, and just prior to his charges being thrown out by jury trial, the judge had said that if there was no evidence against me, of course, the judge had said, if you do not believe both Garda's evidence, then you must find this man innocent. So one set of the guards' charges were thrown out, obviously not believed, but they found me guilty on the man that lied the most, which was Declan Casey. But anyway, I thought it was walking home because one of the guards' evidence had been thrown out. But the judge at the time, Melanie Greeley, did a U-turn. And she said, okay, you found him guilty on one Garrett's charges, that's enough. And she gave me 3.5 years. And I was made serve it to the day. I got out 10 minutes before the sentence was over. So that was nice of them, wasn't it?
Were you boldly behaved in there or anything, Joe?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, no. I wouldn't dream of fighting the system or insulting any of the unlawful prison officers and governors.
The screws, as the man says. No, it seems quite clear to me that you really raveled feathers over the years, and well, you never, and it's to your credit, you've never laid down.
No. I went through a bad patch with it, but that made me stronger coming out the other end of it. But I mean, in the first case was the major one where I was convicted on 2 signed confessions that they said I made. I said, signed confessions to what? I've never signed anything, never speaking to girls but they did produce 2 signed confessions for me. So when I was arrested and signing a custody record book or property, whatever, these signatures ended up on the bottom of 2 signed confessions. So at the time I was doing rather well in business, so I had the money to employ an expert to come in and examine these documents. And when he examined them, he found out that the whole book of evidence had been written out, one page on top of the other in an A4 pad, and all the indentations travelled from one page to the next, perfectly aligned, even though they were dated months apart. And this was accepted in court that they were kosher confessions.
That would be alluding to the fact, and I think a lot of people need to realise that there's a lot of men behind bars that have made the same claims over the years.
Yeah.
Like, I seen a case in England and Cockney gentlemen, and I thought, well, that shows what degree they'll go to. The interview had taken place over the guts of 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That was the interview that they put in. But when they put in the written, do you know the written side of it?
Yeah.
Sure, any human talking at any space, it would have taken 2 to 3 hours. So what they had done was accumulated a file that didn't correspond to the video. Now, he got off, but it's the fact that they are willing to go to those extents.
They'll do anything. But then, just a brief thing on that particular case, I think I got 3 or 6 months suspended on it, on the strength of that. I appealed it and I went to the circuit court. But between court cases, we'd found more words on the documents, and we couldn't figure out where these words came from. And they didn't expect me to send the forensic guy, the handwriting expert James Nash, in a second time to re-examine the documents. And he went in the second time. He examined it with a thing called the ESDA machine, which got the Birmingham 6 off. They found that there were false confessions. So he went in and he retested all the statements, and would you believe there wasn't an indentation left on any statement? And he gave evidence in the circuit court that the only way that could have happened, there was one guard in charge of these files. Frank Burke, he called himself. Patrick, I think, was his real name. He was the only man in charge of the documents, and the expert gave the evidence that the only way these statements could have had the indentations removed was that they would have had to have been soaked in water and rolled and ironed with a heavy implement. And the judge said, so what? That judge was Kevin Haw. He became the first Garda ombudsman shortly after that.
Funny how them things just work out.
Isn't it? Right. But that's just giving you a level of the corruption that's involved between guards and courts, you know. And I mean, I could go on all night about that, but I'm not going to. That's the end of that. But after so many years fighting in court and going in with all the facts that, look, I can prove they were falsified statements. I can prove this guard is lying. Here's video evidence that it didn't happen. And yet you couldn't win a case with any of this. You were always found guilty. And that was not just for me, that's for an awful lot of people. Not everyone spoke out like I did. So you start to wonder then, what is going on these things that we call courtrooms? And for the last probably 5 to 10 years, the studies have been increasing and increasing. And we've suddenly realised, with the help of a man in Australia and various other people around the world, that these are not courts of law or whatever. They're legislative courts, and even that's a front for them being commercial courts. Everything in that arena is to do with money.
Yes.
And it goes back to the Sesiwaikavi Trust. A lot of people have heard of that, of 1666. And it's kind of a banking system that the states use. But our studies led us to find that the courts, through what they do, is the major source of finance for every government, probably about 95% of it. And if you're in courts, they're always trying to get you to sign bonds. Yeah? And you're in on a thing called a charge. That charge is commercial, it's cash. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I've seen it a lot in courtrooms where the Secure van pulls up, the man comes in with his little briefcase, he collects all the bonds, and they're off to the bank.
Would it be your opinion that an awful lot of what's collected in Ireland makes its way to the City of London pretty quickly afterward?
Well, we're always under English rule. I suppose if you went back to the treaty, it was the takeover, you know, the English went, but they left the English agents behind, and that's never changed. We're still tight England.
Yes.
We're under Admiralty law. We're under our laws. I keep calling it scam is a better word, but it's all built on fraud, deception, coercion. You've no choice. You have to agree to them. Unless you learn the game and you learn how to beat it.
Well, my grandfather alluded to it years ago. He says when they painted the phone boxes on the post boxes but left the Crown's head on it, he says you should have figured out what was going on that time. That'll be an eye-opener for a lot of people listening, because a lot of people think that there's 26 that are free. No, there isn't.
No, it never changed. It never changed. They just left their management team in. That's all they left, yeah. But I'm sure, the governments that are in there, they know they're agents for the Brits.
Well, even if they don't, they find out pretty quickly.
Yeah, they're toe the line, yeah. Toe the line, you're gone, yeah.
The house, they're filled in very quickly.
Yeah.
John O'Boyle had made his way out to the house a couple of times to me. I consider him a friend. My missus was a better friend. She had been dealing with him over the years. He done a video shortly before his death that got great. It really exposed what was going on, I think.
Well,
talk about John.
Lord of
Mercy,
Mercy,
mighty man.
Lord of Mercy, and Johnny was a great friend of mine. We knew each other for years, and I was with him 5 to 10 minutes before he died. It's very sad on all the family, and commiserations to them all. John was set up the same way I was set up by the guards claiming hit and run. I did a documentary. It's on YouTube. It's called The Framing of John O'Boyle. And also mine is up there, The Framing of Joe Doocey. And the two of them are from the same Garda station, the same thing. Now, it's rumoured that Declan Casey got a big payout over my case, the hit and run. So it's all about the cash with them as well. John O'Boyle didn't knock anyone down. It was caught clearly on evidence, on video. And this is what I say, it doesn't matter what evidence you go into a courtroom, they're going to find you guilty. And Owen Garrivan, the judge, you can't meet it any more corrupt than that. But saying that, they're all corrupt, And I've invited Owen Garrivan anytime he wants. I won't be backing down from him or any judge. We have the measure of them now. We know what they're at in the courts and we know how to beat them. And we bet them in a lot of cases.
When you look around the courtroom and the different references that are made, now I know a little bit, but I'm just on this path to where I think the answer's there, and that Australian gentleman is meant to be with us in the next couple of weeks.
Alex, yeah.
Simple things like the dock.
Well, if you go back to the history of the Admiralty and the birth, and when you're born, your birth, you come down your mother's canals or waters, you're birthed, you're treated like a piece of freight. Then you're certified. That's the birth cert. Then there's a heel prick test for the baby. That's a blood contract with the state. When you hear that first, you think, nah, that's not right. That's madness. But when you delve in to what they actually do, there's a satanic element to it. But that is the way they operate. That is they believe they have you in this contract, the birth cert, and they try and enforce other contracts on you throughout your life, such as your communion, confirmation, marriage, whatever, christening, the whole lot. They're all bonds that are created, and you're tied in probably to canon law, the Catholic Church, into Rome through all the religious certs, and the state then is getting you to sign and keep reinforcing their contract throughout your life, driver's licenses, whatever you do, you sign. Hey, we've another contract. We own this person, But at birth, your parents register you with the state. In other words, they sign you over. The state owns you, and they believe they own you. So you're their property. So basically, they can do whatever they want to you. And this has been going on for centuries now. And they're getting better at their game. They're getting better at the coercion and how they manipulate you and own you. And we've done a lot of studying into it, so we understand the system they use, and it's a false contract that they believe they have with you. Of course, they're exempt because they set themselves up as a corporation. So they're not liable as an individual or a living person or whatever,
And incorporation is corpse oration. So it's a dead entity speaking.
Everything in the courtroom is dead entities, and that's why the judge doesn't hear you. You're classed as a dead entity because They can only bring you into the court and do you as a corporation, which is why they give you an all caps name. So that makes you corporate. And only corporations can contract with other corporations. So if you go in and declare, hang on, I'm not a corporation, I'm a living man. If you correct your status, you make it very difficult for them to do you. And that's what we've done in the last few cases. We have broken down the barriers of the corporation and we've taken away the jurisdiction. Judge Leyden bet her several times. We bet a judge down in Castlereagh. We won 3 cases against the fisheries. They all had to back off to run from it.
Is the difference of what you're doing, the predominant difference, is you're making the judges themselves liable?
Personally liable.
Yes, yeah.
Is
that the key to it?
We're taking them out of their corporate role and bringing them to the living man or woman. You know, they're happy to sit there as a corporation. Say what you want, I can't be done. You know, if you go to do a corporation, who do you do? If you went to do Kellogg's or Kerrygold, who are you doing? There's someone hiding behind it, and that's what judges do. That's what guards do. You can't do a guard individually for his wrongdoing. He hides behind the corporation and the corporation protects him. It's only when he really pisses off his own corporation that they throw him out and then they get him.
So initially what you're doing is making a declarative statement that first and foremost, you're not declaring yourself as a corporation, you're there as a living individual. Mm-hmm. Then you are also moving liability for the damages that will be done to you as a living individual if there is damages to be done to the judge themselves.
Yeah, you're bringing it to kind of, I suppose common law is the terminology, harm, injury and loss. We all agree with that. If someone does you harm, injury or loss, they should be liable for their actions, yeah? Mm-hmm. But judges aren't. Guards aren't. Anything within the state, corporation, is never liable.
It's a very, very clever move, to be honest about it. And this Australian gent is doing massive, massive work on it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, he's done a thing called the powerful affidavit of truth and fact or whatever. It's a correction of your status, yeah? A lot of people are doing it. I don't know the extent of what it'll do, because when I go into court, I verbalise everything I have to do. I correct the status there on the spot, and every time I've done it, the judge is either right, next case, or dismissed, or turned on the DPP at one stage. What are you doing here? What's it? And made a big hullabaloo and disappeared. So it is working.
Because I genuinely think you've hit on something massive with the fact of moving the liability, because up until this point, what they done was they ruled with the clarity that they were never going to face a consequence if there was a mistake made.
Well, they're still, and what's happened is they're still doing it, and they're as arrogant as, there's an arrogance coming with it now, Like, had they played within a certain framework of that, we'll keep law and order, we're corrupt, we're fiddling, whatever, but they blatantly just went out to get innocent people. How does that work? Of course you're going to wake up. Of course you're going to study and find out.
Yeah.
When the judges are, what we think in the courtroom is presented with facts that he just totally ignores and does you, knowing the other party's guilty, well then there's something seriously wrong. That's corruption beyond corruption,
Well, you see, this is, that's an interesting point, because what they've done is they've fallen into the same trap that kind of the mafia fell into years ago. Yeah, because I watched a fantastic documentary, but this mafioso says it was drugs. He says, whilst criminals were killing criminals, nobody cared. Yeah. But he says the minute that the ordinary person is dying as the result of a product, he says, then all of a sudden people go against you. And that's so what the state has done is, by taking on innocent people and trying to ruin their lives, is led people like yourself and myself to some degree to say, I'm not having you, do you know?
Now, there's no guarantee that the state won't go rogue. We're very near a dictatorship, but they're able to do what they do by coercion, manipulation and whatever, yeah?
Yes.
Now, there's every possibility they could say, right, ignore everything, let's go rogue. Then you're in a full dictatorship. The consequences of that would be serious.
Yeah.
For them, not for us. But that's the way it's leading. It's either, you change the game, we've copped onto you, you're not getting away with this anymore, start remedying all the wrong you've done in the past, or you're going to have a full-blown civil war on your hands. That's the way. That's the only way it can end up.
Yeah, the old Chinese proverb, if you keep going the way you're going to end up where you're headed.
Yeah. But
what do you think of the current state of affairs then with, like, COVID for me was a serious eye-opener that, they don't care about individual rights. They don't care. Are we far away from them attempting the whole dictate? Because I think they're overextending themselves.
Well, there's
my opinion.
There's dangerous agendas out there, and there's many theories as to who's behind it. But we all know it's the 1% that holds the wealth.
Yeah.
And that's the banks.
Yeah.
And that's why everything is commercial. That's why everything is corporate. And it's all corporations that brought out vaccines, whether it was to kill populations off, whatever the agenda was. And I thank God I never took any of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I thank God I never took them. But Big Pharma is a corporation as well. They made billions out of it. The facts and the figures are there that they killed a lot of people and they damaged a lot of people. And it's slowly being drip-fed to the public, but they're still not waking up.
Yeah.
The amount of people that's asleep is unreal.
Yeah.
And they really need to wake themselves up. You tell someone this, I took the vaccine, what are you on about? I'm fine. They don't realise how many people are dead from it and how many people have had heart attacks, strokes, blood clots and all the other, everything else that comes with it. And all these increases over the years in, is it ADHD and all this? It's all vaccines.
Well, there's going to be another aspect of it too, is when a lot of these people's daughters and sons can't have children in 10 and 20 years, they're going to...
But I mean, it's not in Big Pharma's interest to make anyone well, is it?
No.
They don't make any money.
Well,
it's all commercial.
I'd be trying probably to tell you with the two snakes heading up the road and that, you see. I wouldn't look at that simple and think, that fills me with confidence. So it does. Another aspect I want to get to, this man in Australia, he's doing serious work.
Yeah.
Ireland, Canada and Australia, it seems to be just as effective, which would indicate to me that when this, I like to kind of call it a maritime operation. I think it's a maritime commercial operation, if you get me. The court, when you're in there, it really, really harkens back to a kind of Napoleonic ship, and you're being court-martialed by the Admiralty on board.
Yeah, well, I think...
Is that what the...
Yeah, I think in our investigations we went back that this Admiralty law and all this, I think it comes from King Henry VIII's time. And he was a fairly level-headed man, wasn't he?
Yes,
he took the heads off a lot of women. So, something that's set up by a sick individual like that can only get sicker.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. That's where it's gone. And we use the terminology and we're indoctrinated from birth, I suppose, or from when, when as soon as we have a brain, we're like sponges, we're picking up and we're indoctrinated about courts, police, doctors, priests. And it's a big lie. It's all wrong.
Yeah.
And that's coming to light now. And it's a big shock for people to realise, hang on, what I thought was this is actually not, it's the reverse.
Is the answer to it on all levels self-sufficiency? Because I'm of the opinion now, a vast majority of people that you look at and you were content up until this point to say, oh, that's an expert. No, in reality...
There's no such thing as an expert. We're all on learning curves. We're all trying to get there. All any of us want to do is live in peace, have our families, enjoy ourselves. And it goes back to the very basic statement is, you at a certain age when you leave school or whatever, you have a talent, say, to sculpture wood or whatever, and you can make thousands out of it. And this corporation called the taxman comes along and he says, oh, that's great, you're making money, I'll take 40% of that. Why? What does he do? And that's what happens. The state wants to own you and own everything you do. And we let them.
Is there a trust set up on your birth? Does it last until you're 105 years of age?
Well, I believe there's a trust, the SUIKV trust is set up. I don't know how long it lasts, but that's goes up and down throughout your life. We'll never access it. We'll never get the money. It's a game to play. That's all it is, and that's a game they play that they think is controlling us, and it enslaves us.
That was going to be my next
As
question.
does the
Can
monitoring.
we access
Yeah.
it? But you've given your answer to that,
Yeah.
which is that
I don't believe we can.
I don't either.
Yeah,
to
I
be
don't
honest.
believe we can. It's a game they play for checks and balances in their system. Now, happy days if it ever comes to the fact that you can. But I think the way it will be accessed, but not directly in the future, is that they've done an awful lot of people wrong, and they're going to have to remedy it. They're going to have to compensate them somehow. You know, the good guys are going to have to take over. You know, because there's too much corruption. It's horrible, and it's horrible what's going on out there. You know.
We had a man earlier during the week. He's worked for NGOs all over the world with that, and we were talking about the subject of corruption.
Yeah.
And if you're in a place like Africa or some place like that, it's very, very blatant.
Yeah.
It's literally handing cash to the cop. Let me on
Yeah.
there. Whereas in Ireland, it's somewhat quieter and it's done behind closed doors and it's done in courts and stuff like that. Has the ordinary Irish person the ability to realise it without going through it? Because I wouldn't have believed it till I seen some of the things.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well, unfortunately, the position I'm in is that a lot of people come to me with their cases, and I get to hear a lot of horrific stories around the country. Yeah, and I would class Ireland as the number one corrupt country in the world.
Yeah.
Child trafficking, sexual abuse, paedophilia, monetary corruption, every kind of, land grabs, everything.
Yes.
The whole lot. Ireland is streets ahead than any other country, They know how to manipulate it, and they know how to cover up. They own the media. They have every bit of control. But when I look at politicians and I look at guards and I look at judges, and I see so many people prepared to do the wrong thing, what I'm trying to figure out is what bonds them together. And the question is then, are they all in paedophile rings? Are they all Freemasons? Are they all Zionists? You don't know. But something is bonding them together. No one gets up in the morning to want to go out and do someone any harm. I don't, anyway. And most people I know don't want to. So what is gelling them together?
Is it a case that everyone in a position of authority and power has been vetted to have something against
Very,
them?
very, very possibly, yeah. And I believe all elections are rigged. I don't believe anyone with a sense of morals is going to get in. Your profile. I think it's all fixed. And you look at the politicians; they just laugh at the public and sneer at them and whatever, And like some of the cases I've heard, there's one most recently gone into the public arena there. Now again, I'm tearing the whole lot with the one brush, which is probably wrong, because in this last case, there's actually 6 Garda whistleblowers coming out. There's actually 2 or 3 politicians that have, are coming out, and it's against a sexual abuse case against a young lad that when it was reported to the guards, it was brought before a judge, and the father was abusing the child. The details are horrific, and it went to court, and they gave that child to the father that was abusing him, or allegedly abusing him. I better be careful with my words, but and to me that was horrific. And they accused the mother of parental alienation. Now, if anyone wants to see that case, it's on my Facebook page. So it's a horrific case. But the fact, I think they've pushed it too far. It seems now that there's enough of people, probably within the state, that are even saying this is going too far themselves. Like for 6 guards to come out to whistleblow, and fair play to them. I commend them. I commend anyone that will come out of a corrupt state and blow the whistle, because they do it at an extreme cost to themselves. You can imagine how they get it from the state themselves. So that has to be encouraged. Everyone has to be encouraged to do the right thing, But all we can do, I think this will be a catalyst case, because documents were falsified by Tusla and everything, It's there in the newspaper article if anyone wants to read it, and Peter Tobin brought it up in the Dial last week. You'll be able to find it, or on my Facebook page or whatever. It's been shared around a lot, but let's just hope this has the desired effect on a corrupt state.
Has the state facilitated the murder of individuals and covered it up?
Well, I mean, I read an article a few years ago. I think from 1970, there was over 100 people died in Garda custody. You know, and that's very strange that they wait to be arrested or go into a Garda cell before they're found dead. Yeah, I've no doubt that the guards have a lot of blood on their hands. Yeah.
I would be of the same opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the tactics that they use in some occasions are absolutely frightening.
Oh yeah, well,
they have no difficulty of alienating children, alienating partners. If they can do that, they will do that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, little thing there for all you listeners here. Little fact of on Garda Síochána and how wonderful they are. One of the murderers of that child in England, what was his name? The little kid. Yeah.
Jamie Baldwin.
Yeah, he's now living in a tent on the Sligo-Mayo border.
I heard they were over here.
Yeah, no, he's there. He's in a tent on the Sligo-Mayo border.
Well, he's there for a number of years, you know that.
Oh, yeah, but you see, he was moved out of the town because he was living a little bit too close to a guard.
Oh, right.
You know, the guard says, fucking can't have this guy living near my house, like. So he's in a tent on the Mayo Sligo border. The guards are fully aware that he's there and are doing nothing about it. Because that's how Ireland operates.
They're in a relationship here.
Apparently so. Yeah. So just there's one for the listeners there. We are now.
It gets better by the day.
Oh no, it
gets better by the day.
And there's your immigration policy there. Former child murderers. Yeah, no bothers. Why not?
Bring in rapists, machete users, paedophiles. Yeah, Ireland's an open house for them all.
They gave 3 countries when he was being moved. They said it was either going to be Australia, New Zealand, or Canada. They never mentioned Ireland.
Oh yeah, but you see that they weren't going to put.
I know.
There. What they done was didn't say the one he was going to. Yeah.
But isn't it an awful thing like that? The state has this power, or from that they can go into your house, take your kids, take your property, take your money, put you in jail.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything.
So it happens a lot more than ever before now.
Oh, they're ramping it up to the last. It's like they're trying to push an agenda. It's like, if we do so much now, no one will ever figure it out.
Well, the other day, there's new legislation being drafted on CPOs, compulsory purchase orders.
Yeah.
One guy got up to basically say, I'm moving this legislation. There was all of, I'd say, 6 or 7 people present.
Yeah.
The Ard Corlick says, is there anyone to oppose this to an empty room? And it's gone to the second stage now. So ye have elected a gang of people who can't even turn up for a compulsory purchase order where you will have no say. You get 1 month. And it's not 1 month to decide, it's 1 month to move. So that's been legislated for. So if you're in a nice little house in Dublin at the moment that's sitting on very, very commercially expensive land and you're in your grandfather's bungalow, get packing.
Yeah, but
they're going to move you.
You see, they're again, that's going back to the corporation doing what they want, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you correct your status and you learn about private trust and whatever, if you remember Crumlin Hospital, the kids' hospital, that was in a private trust. They couldn't touch it. They tried every way they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So it's again correcting your status. Declare yourself as a private trust.
That is possible as well.
Yeah.
Jersey and Guernsey are good spots to do it. So there.
And forget about legislation. Legislation is a set of man-made rules, which is basically to make them benefit commercially. People need to know the difference between legislation and law.
Tell us a little bit more about thrush, because I'm familiar with it a little bit myself, and allodial title and stuff like that.
Well, I don't believe there's such a thing as an allodial title. You're going into their system with all that kind of stuff. Allodial title is where you have the outright ownership of land. Land is divine. It comes from God. And the state does not sell you land. Or they don't sell you houses. They sell you a set of coordinates on a grid and a title. It's not the land. So if you want to claim it, you have to set it up in a private trust yourself, that it's yours. And that's the way they move their mortgages around. They're selling you a piece of paper. They're not selling you the land or the property. They can't do it. We all own the land. and that's their scam again.
What do you think would be the best system of governance? Let's say tomorrow morning, rocket ship to the top, there's Joe Doocey. What would you see? I'm going to implement this. Do you know what the ideal sense of
I'd go back to localized trade, back to the small man. Try and cut the corporates out as much as you can. You know, we're feeding them, we're giving them money all the time, we're making them stronger, we're enslaving ourselves to them. How many people are farming now? Or if farming is the correct word. How many people are growing their own veg and, you know, their own eggs? The corporation says, oh no, you have to have a license, you have to apply to do that. My attitude is 2 fingers to them, do what you want.
Yeah.
You know.
I think there's a lot of freedom that comes from that.
Yeah, of course there is, yeah.
Like, you would be surprised the amount of people who come up with problems for solutions. You know, like, the first time we were on about the festival and all that, how many people there were, the council, fuck the council.
But look at their right
bastards. You're robbing every day of the week.
Thieves. But look at their ideology over the years. Don't cut trees. Import coal from wherever, you know.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Yeah. Well, if you get into the whole environmental thing too, which
that's a scam as well. Whatever, like they made a television set and it emits programs. There's the clue. They're programming you.
Yeah.
You know, it's mainstream media. It's owned by the banks own it. Like they're pushing their own agendas through it, you know.
If there's been a cull, and I'd say you probably think there has been, why the fuck aren't they culling us? Why are they culling their own sheepticles? Because the only answer I can come up to it is that someday, I think there's better days coming, to be honest.
I've no doubt there is. I'm probably being pessimistic here, but I've seen a serious awakening.
Same as that.
I've seen people 20 years ago, and my story started 25 years ago, ran away from me that I was a lunatic, you know, fighting with the guards. They thought I was fighting with the guards and whatever, you know, and standing up to the system. Them people are now shaking me hands when they meet me down the street and they're saying, yeah, geez, you were right, you know.
But you see, this is what I'm saying. Why get rid of the... Do you know, like, if you're on your 10th or 11th booster now, I'm very sorry. Yeah, you were a moron.
Have another one.
Man, possibly 2. We could probably do with Riddy, at this stage. But why are they the most obedient? Why are they getting rid of them? Because the only thing that I can see is one day they're going to turn around and they're going to say, listen, there was a lot of dead wood. There was a lot of dead wood around, and we're ready for it now, and now we can move forward with a better system.
No, I don't know. It's frightening times. It's very frightening times. But again, it's up to people. They've used every stroke of divide and conquer over the years, and they've done a great job on it.
Well,
the so-called system.
I'll just allude to this point. I was chatting. My mum, Roshan, is working tonight, so mum is coming out to sit in with the kids while we're doing this and all that. It's Thursday. She was at her 6th funeral today.
Oh, jeez.
That anyone can look at that and say, "Oh yeah, well, it's the weather." But it's actually been pretty good weather lately.
You have another one tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. 7 by Friday. Yeah. I'll actually go to this one though myself, so I will. That's those figures. I don't think add up in the small part of the west of Ireland, so they don't.
No, but I mean, like, everything is hidden in plain sight with these sick fucks. Like, they're letting the figures out there. They're letting it out in England, the vaccine damage and everything, and people are still oblivious to it, you know.
When they are covering up suicides, though, that's the one thing that they're, and a lot of these deaths as well that we're seeing are actually suicides as well, and we're not getting the differentiation that we require, I think, ourselves anyway. But
a lot of that though is personal too.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Don't want saying it, and that's still to this day.
Well, that's true as well.
It didn't happen. And not talking about it won't make it go away. So
no.
For the young man or the young woman listening, let's say, because I've spoken to a lot of, we'll say 16, 17-year-olds, they're wide awake. They've grown up in a kind of cyber economy, so they've been exposed to a lot of this stuff earlier than any of us was.
Yeah.
they're entering the world now. What I'm telling them is acre of land, cabin off grid.
Mm-hmm.
What would Mr. Joe Doocey be saying to them?
Be very alert to people. Knowledge is no load to carry.
Yeah.
You know, be vigilant. Watch what's going on around you, you know. Like there's a lot of young lads being persecuted by the state.
Yeah.
You know, get together. Don't let them do it.
Yeah.
Years ago, when judges were making corrupt decisions against me, I organised groups and I went to their houses. They didn't like it. But yet it's all right for them to come to my house. But when you reverse it, then it's not so nice. Their family see what they're like. What are you doing at work, you know? Mm-hmm. Let the work follow them home.
Yeah.
That's my attitude.
Would you have a similar attitude then when it comes to politicians and stuff like that? Because I reckon they were about the only protests that really changed people's minds.
I've a very bleak view of politicians. No doubt there's good in everywhere. Mm. But they sat dormant for a long time, you know. Let them come out. Let them do the right thing now. Politics is dirty at the minute. I believe it's rigged. I don't believe any man with the proper morals and intentions will get in. You know, I'd go back to local groups, police yourselves, you know, police your own town. And I mean police the police if you have to as well.
Yeah.
And the judges and whatever.
I had a similar viewpoint when we were down at the festival in my because you'd hear people, you need to take the country back. No, you need to take your parish back.
You do, yeah.
And, you know, your town land back and stuff like that. And that's talking to your neighbours, that's getting, you know.
You see, like the problem in Ireland was it was the mentality always, you know, I'm getting something off the state, say nothing. Don't tell anyone, don't talk to the neighbour, you know. All that has to change. What you need to do now is go out and say, do you see what happened to such a person down the road? This is wrong. You know, let's do something about it. And it can be done.
You alluded to it earlier, the levels of autism, stuff like that.
Yes.
My own little girl has it.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a man the other day about it, and he says, do you remember when you were a kid and all of those old people who were banging their heads off the walls and that? And I said, no, I don't remember that. No. He says, that's because it exists.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the first time I had kind of visualised it in that sense. Yeah. That, you're right. Yeah. It was not around.
Well, we live in a world now where the so-called authority or the 1% that owns everything and is creating all these rules for us, they don't care about life. They don't care about families. You know, whatever it is, whether they're sociopaths or psychopaths or whatever they are, you know. And of course, money corrupts. Big banks, they can corrupt anyone. And that's what they've been doing. And the problem is the banking industry. They're behind everything. They're the boys with the power. They can buy anyone, they can sell anyone, they can do whatever they want.
If the ordinary person realizes it for what it is and en masse just begins to say no. It's a very, very short, simple word. It's just no.
I've been saying it a long time.
Yeah. It is redeemable then. So it is.
Yeah, it just takes more people to do it. And saying that, like myself and a few people, we've helped a lot of people with court cases, and you can bring them to the trough, but you can't make them drink the water. They lose the bottle. The arena, the stage fright gets to them, and they end up running a solicitor. Solicitor's the worst thing you can get going into court. He's going to make more for you getting convicted and losing than he'll get off you for winning.
A lot of people don't understand that free legal aid means that the state is paying someone to represent you.
Yeah. Represent, not a word I like, you know.
Yeah.
Again, these are all terms, and person is another word. That's all to do with the corporation, you know. Man, woman. Simple as that, you know. And you must bring all law back to the Bible, divine. Only God can judge us. So who are these people sitting on a bench? And they don't even pretend to judge us. They're commercial entities. It's a commercial arena. But you fall for the scam, the illusion. And you walk in and you contract with them. It's because there's a rule of law that a corporation cannot contract with a living man. But a living man can walk in and contract with a corporation. So even though you're a living man and you walk into that arena and start playing by their games, you've contracted with them. You've given them the consent. You haven't repudiated it, you know. Now, when I go to this thing that's called court, it's to correct the standing and to tell them to dismiss their financial charge. and that's what it's doing. Everything they use, their rules that they call law, oh, that's hate speech, you shouldn't have said that. You know, there's a charge on that. And you go in, you try and defend yourself. The details of the case mean nothing. It's just another rule they've set up to make money out of. Like, I watched a video last week, and I think it was last year. How much do you think the Court Service of Ireland made?
Billions.
2.499 billion. That's a massive industry.
That's so we were roaring and shouting about Apple and what was it, 13 billion,
yeah,
and then every year you're going near a quarter of it just in the court service.
Yeah, but you have to read into the writing. It's court service. They're providing a service. What service are they providing?
Well, they're taking your money.
Yeah,
it's like a casino.
Yeah, ESB, electrical supply services or whatever they are. They provide a service. You're not paying for the electric. You're paying for the service of them bringing it to you. We all own the power. We all own the electric. So, you know, everything with the corporates is a scam. And it's just to be able to read the scam and know how to address them. But I think the place that you beat the most is in their system in the court. And when you go in and correct their status and they have to drop the charges and walk out, that's a victory.
You are not really involved with any group or anything like that, and I think there's good reasoning for that.
Yeah, no, too many infiltrators in groups.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah, too many. I've seen it over the years. I'm 25 years at this now, and I've been in all the protest movements. I've gone through the whole lot, and it was always messed up by an element that came in that was, probably paid by the state to do it or whatever, Every group I've seen fall, someone will come in, create an argument just when it's getting going, has to be infiltrators, If you're going to do something, do it on your own or do it with someone you trust. And that's it. Keep the whatever you're doing as close knit as you can. I'm not propagating anything here. I can give anyone any information they want. Go and investigate it yourself, learn how to do it, and go out and see that it works, And I can put you in touch with several people that's done what we've done in court and walked out of the court. Case dismissed.
Well, I'll definitely be asking you for it.
I'll be giving it to you.
I intend to use it as well as I do. Is part of the problem people balking?
Yeah, to lose the bottle. And saying that, I when it started with me and I walked into court the first time, I was terrified. I didn't know what was going on. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. But yet solicitors, judges and the whole lot were able to convince me I had done. And I thought, what's going on here? And no matter what I said, oh, shut up, what do you can't say that, you can't do this. It's all coercion, it's all manipulation, But again, the only reason they want you in the court is so that you sign that bond. That's money in the bank for them. And that's what it's all about, the commercials.
Would you run for politics again?
No, that was kind of an experiment. A good few people asked me to do it. I was surprised I got the votes I got. I got 600 and odd. But wasn't that a change round, from 20 years previous where people thought I was a lunatic?
Yes.
Like 600 votes is a nice little confidence booster, Yep. It means people are watching and they're listening. So fair play to them. And again, thanks to everyone that did vote for me. But politics the way it is today, not a hope, no. Too corrupt. If there was an overthrow of the government and we're going to put decent people in, then maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be of a similar line of thinking now.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be in it for money, for the big wages. Like you analyse the style of life that these corporates have, the judges, the politicians. Like they're all on 200,000 a year, expenses paid, and hey, it's fucking madness. Are they going to jeopardise that? Someone higher goes to them and says, no, I want this fella done, or you could be losing your 200,000 a year. They're going to do you. That's it.
Aye, but if they're hit with, you could be liable for 30 million.
That's the way to do it, yeah. And again, this is, people want to start studying UCC, which is Uniform Commercial Code, yeah. We seem to, and this is from Alex as well in Australia, it seems to be that it's a part of the commercial system, and the judges and the politicians so far have abided by it, And we threaten them in the script we use in court that should the breach UCC, that they will be personally liable for whatever figure you're going to throw on it, And we also state that what's going on in this arena is fraud and corruption, coercion, and we're not going to be complicit in it. We also bring in we also bring in that the birth cert is fraud and your date of birth is fraud, And this is another thing that's in the affidavit. And people make the mistake of using the birth cert. Oh, here it is, look, that's not my name on it. You're acknowledging it, when the actual fact of the matter is, no, what is your date of birth? You don't have to tell me, but you think you know your date of birth.
No.
No.
Because the birth is when you came aboard, not when you hit the ground.
Well,
two separate dates.
Whatever way you want. It's a thing called the zygote. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the fertilization of the egg, or roughly around the time of creation, but no one can pinpoint a time and date on that. And that's a line in the script we use as well in the course, that we say from last breath prior to fertilization, whole and complete by God and nature, and from the zygote. So the zygote is your date of creation, which is your actually date of birth, if birth is the word you want to use. The date of creation, Birth is one of their, or Admiralty law terms, because it's to do with the birthing of the freight. So you were actually created, not birthed.
You see, then you're into the realms where the blue-haired left you lose their mind that you're given rights to a child in the womb. You can't have that. Yeah. I think one of the amazing things they've done is this immigration thing, because the more you look at it, the more it's people trafficking.
Yeah.
And funny enough, it was the English corporate who put an end to, human trafficking on the seas, so they say, and they wrote
piracy.
And they wrote a rake of legislation about that. Is there a lot of modern governments who think that is no longer applicable? Because I do a strange thing at night. Sometimes I watch over the Dáil proceedings for the day.
Oh Lord!
And when
that's boredom,
I'm telling you. But when they were on about this new compulsory purchase order, your man was very at pains to say that the legislation they were using was from 1845 and it was outdated. And I thought, my God, you're using legislation that predates the existence of the state. It's almost as if it didn't exist. And this was said, and I can't understand how the ordinary Irish man or woman can't hear a hear a statement like that and join the dots and realise that if you can draw something from pre-existence of state, there is no state.
Oh no. Well, again, we all keep saying it, and I do it myself. We're talking about legislation as if it means something.
Yeah.
That's their corporate rules.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, that's law, we have to abide by it. You don't, just learn how to beat it.
Yeah.
Study, understand what law is, divine law and natural law, and we all have the same right. It's like I had a row in Ballina there a few weeks ago with the traffic warden. I said, did you come to this planet the same way as I did? And he's looking at me and he says, why can you charge me for using it,
Yeah.
And isn't that what everyone does, to charge you for using? We all came the same way.
Yeah. Well, you're reminding me of a good friend I had in Wexford who were coming away from a building site one day, and he looked at the windscreen and the only thing that was on it was the wipers, and he man says, you have no tags, you have no nothing. And he just stared at the camera and went, Jesus, it started. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it just that the ordinary person at this stage is so bombarded with rules and regulations that they think they have to follow?
Yeah. Well, you see, it's the coercion of the state as well, that if you don't do this, we can do this to you. Example, if you don't tax your car, we can take your car and we impound it, and you don't let it out then until it's taxed or whatever. That's coercion, that's theft, that's, blackmail, that's...
all of the above.
It's all of the above, Why do you stand for it? If I hate using anything to do with the system, but why aren't people, if there's a politician there, who's in Ballina, Derek Cleary?
Right, yeah, probably.
Yeah, another corrupt bastard anyway. But, why aren't they breaking into his office saying, why am I getting charged? I'm on the planet the same as everyone else. Why not F off with yourself or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
How much a year is he getting? How much a week is he getting? Laughing at people.
That's exactly what's going on.
I'll be a leader. I'll keep the agenda going. I'll keep you down. And you'll be my slave. That's what government is all about.
And you'll thank me for it.
And you'll thank, yeah. And you'll buy me a drink when you see me out, yeah. And the head will be 6 foot tall, you know.
But then there was a massive speech in England. It's a couple of years ago. And he was a huntsman. And he got up on the back of the horse. And I wouldn't like these fellas at all. But what he said struck a chord with me, because I seen this video and I says, he's onto something there. And he goes, ye mightn't like what we do. But he says, we've been doing it for centuries. Yeah. And he says, if they can get rid of this, they'll get rid of you. And lo and behold, that they stopped them. They put an end to this hunting. It was cruel, all the rest of it. And then all of a sudden, now they're coming to farms and they're taking people's farms and they're putting inheritance tax on it. Yeah, well, it's all slippery slope.
It is. But remember, after this interview, I'm in good health at the minute. So if I suddenly go missing after, you know, it's the state.
I'd like everyone to know, Joe not brought a rope with him this evening. He's in very good form. So yeah.
But I mean, it's crazy. Like, they walk into what you deem to be your land, but we know it's registered to the state. So in effect, they own it. But even as them telling you, we'll tell you how many cattle you can have, how many sheep you can have, how many acres you can have under spuds, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck off. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want spuds, grow them. If you want to do whatever, do it. And to tell you then, let's say you did have a bit of land and you wanted to produce your eggs and your bit of veg and sell them to a neighbour. Oh no, you need a licence for that and you have to pay tax and you know. Why?
There'll be a lot of people listening tonight. I know you're familiar with it more than myself. They don't understand what the concept of a raid is.
Yeah.
You don't need to be guilty of nothing. They will come out and they will take everything. Yeah. They will take your little child's tablet that Peppa Pig was played on as...
Yeah. They in their own demented little world, and unfortunately your average guard is a thick gobshite. Yeah. If he's told he can do something, I have the power to do it, you know. And they're told to go into your house and do whatever. I don't know how many times they were in mine, it was a lot. And I was so special, even sent them down from Harcourt Street with Uzis and everything to come in to the house. And every time they took laptops, mobile phones, see who was communicating with, what information was going around. That was the only reason.
Yeah.
But that fear is gone now. I have no fear of any of them.
Yeah. Well, they turned over my barrel of nuts, bastards. An awful thing to do, like.
And do you know who did it, James? Do you know the name?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go to his house.
Oh, yeah. Well, I tell you, a similar operation did take place. I haven't had as much trouble in a long time as I haven't. No, they tell me, as I says, barrel of feed.
Yeah.
Just turn it upside down and leave it on the floor for mice and rats.
Oh, yeah, that's badness. Yeah. But, like, they keep coming into your house taking your phones. I think they've taken about 12 or in excess of 10 mobile phones on me over the years, you know. And every time they come in now, I say, can you not afford to get your own mobiles? Why do you keep taking mine, you know, and laptops?
Well, they've accessed social media. They've fucked themselves with that.
Yeah, look, they're 30 years ahead of us with what they can do.
Well, but when they go against their own nonsense, that's when they find themselves in a bit of bother.
Well, social media, I think, was created as a tool to fuck everyone up.
Yes, you're right.
A distraction.
Yes. Yeah.
And it backfired on them.
Yeah, because it spread.
Yeah. And now that's why they have to bring in hate speech and all this to slow everything down. You know, people are waking up too quick.
Well, you see, I think if you go back to Facebook, which was the initial one after Bieber, that I think that was a tool of distraction, which what you were meant to do was you were meant to converse with your cousin in America and waste time. And instead of that, your cousin in America was sending you a full article about what the globalist was at.
Was doing it,
they didn't estimate that would happen, I don't think.
But wasn't there a thing where they closed down a branch of the CIA the very same day that Facebook was launched?
Yes, because we're busy. They had a new job.
That took over. Like, so it was a data collection tool from the off.
Have you ever seen the NSA building?
And no.
It's about 70 stories high, just a windowless block. It's where your man Snowden was operating. He's in Russia now because the Yanks will kill him the first opportunity they get. And it's frightening to think 70 floors of just one Indian and American sitting behind computers watching everything. But have they overextended themselves, Joe? Because you know
I think they've gone way too far, and it's time for karma.
Yeah,
I think they've gone way too far. The danger is that they're well tooled up, the state. They're dangerous, and you're cornering rats at the minute. So that's what we need. That's why we need to be united, you know.
Yeah,
that's the way I think, you know. Do you think these people are going to volunteer to go to jail for their crimes? Not at all. So they're prepared to go rogue. So we have to be prepared for the next move as well.
Yeah.
And we won't do it single-handedly.
No.
And there was some great men around in this country a century ago, just over a century ago. What did they die for? They fought for freedom. Look what we have now, total enslavement.
Is there an unfortunate reality that we're being guided at the time by a few individuals who knew exactly what was going on and exactly what was going to happen?
Of course they were. Yeah, they were getting ready for the big changeover. And don't get me wrong, the Brits are not just the Admiralty law. It's a worldwide scenario. Like it's the same legislation. I keep calling it law. It shouldn't be. Admiralty is in every country around the world. It's in America, it's in New Zealand, it's in Australia, it's in most of Europe. So it was kind of a dangerous enforcement of slavery that has worked and worked successfully. It was coercive, it was manipulative. You know, throw a few people in jail, they come out and say, oh, look what they can do to you. And it terrifies everyone, you know. No one deserves to go to jail. Well, sorry, rapists and murderers and whatever do. But, you know, your average man that's trying to earn a living and rear a family, he's the man that's going to jail now.
Well, the truth of the matter is there has been people brought to Cashel for television licenses, cattle stray and stuff like that. And that we as a society say, that's...
You see, they call everything a crime, like, you know. They put up a pole with a 60 figure on it for speed, You do 70 or 80, oh, that's a crime. Who have you hurt?
Yeah.
You know, I'll drive a road the way I see fit. That's it.
There's another aspect to that too. Did a lot of this nonsense come from building a society that's afraid of everything?
Yeah, there's fear is instilled in people, yeah. But you can do that for so long and fear goes. Fear went with me a long time ago.
Yeah, I'd be in that.
You know, and you're the same. And the more certain people are pushed, the harder they're going to get.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little bit like he was a Russian dude. I watched him one day, and he's just lighting a cigarette, and a bomb goes off behind him.
He keeps talking.
He just keeps doing his interview because you're so desensitized to it. You do harden people with this shit, like.
It's like I've no fear, and people are terrified of walking into the courtroom. Oh, keep quiet, you can't say that. If I have something to say, I'll say it. And they know I know what I'm saying.
What was your experience in prison?
Prison was, you can't say it's all right, but I didn't have any problems in there.
Yeah.
I got on well with everyone. A good few people knew who I was when I went in.
Yeah.
So they knew I was fighting the system. So I was looked in, fellow inmates, looked after fairly well by them. Persecuted by the governors and the screws. But they tried. A lot of them backed off because I said, look, do what you want to do, but I'll make sure you're named and shamed on social media. And, you know, that kind of kept them back a bit, you know. But prison is a dangerous place, but it's not. There's a lot of sound people in it too. Yeah. And I was surprised by the amount of sound people in it, you know.
Yeah.
I think I served 2 years and 8 months. And I was due to let me out 10 minutes before the sentence was up. So that's how much the state loved me. So,
like when you think about it, that there's people who've been put away for pedophilia and that and are let out away ahead of time.
Well, they're all put into the one prison, Arbor Hill, I think. They're all kept together, so lead them to it.
It'd be a good thing though to spread them out and thin them out a little bit.
Well, if they walked into another kind of a jail, they wouldn't be.
No, that's what I'm saying.
They wouldn't be doing any damage again.
No. Does it frustrate you the days you sit in court? And like I got very frustrated one day in Sligo. I met a man that, you know, I only knew him through working and stuff like that, and it turned out that he had been very badly, you know, treated. He was raped, and the fella that had done the raping was in a room over here, and I think he got a sentence of 2 or 3 years. Well, and pled guilty. Yeah. And you see, my point is, there I was looking at 10 years for running an election.
Was this in Castlebar?
No, Sligo.
Yeah, I was in one in Castlebar where there was 2 of them up on the one day, 2 paedophiles, and the 2 of them walked. And Garvin that did it, and he said these people need
shooting.
Well, that's what I would have said. He said they need rehabilitation, not punishment. That's what he said. So it makes you think what are judges involved in.
Yeah. Oh, look at we're going to head to the Patreon. If that wasn't juicy enough for you, we're going to get to something even juicier now. Joe, thanks for being with us. Everyone there, James. Thanks for watching on YouTube, and thanks very much to those on Patreon who give us, what is it, €5 or €6 a month?
Something like that.
Yeah, you keep the lights on.
And Spotify, of course.
And Spotify. Thank you I always forget Spotify. So thanks, everyone. And we'll head to Patreon for another hour of exciting time. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.